really fine-tune everything. Actually, it's a never-ending fine-tuning. But the first 3 years was really tough. It was really tough. Books, research, almost to the extent of copying a franchise agreement from a competitor or from a different industry, just to put a little of everything into one paper.
Yeah, galing. You know, you've been using terms that make me stop and listen.
Sorry?
Kapa, sabi mo.
Kapa, yes.
Kapa talaga. Wow.
Because
So, you're, in other words, parang you guys are the trailblazers.
Sorry?
Trailblazers.
Oh,
Kayo
I would say
trailblazers.
yes. I would say yes, because during that time, it was really tough. It was really tough. It was so tough on the first 3 years. Then we found out that there were facilities, there were organizations that are willing to help franchisors during that time. So
Yeah.
it was,
oo.
it was, no, it was a blessing, I would say, that PFA is here, the FranCorp is here.
So people
Assist
listening
us.
in the audience now who are interested in getting to franchising can thank their lucky stars that you guys made kapa.
Yes, yes,
And cup.
we really made In fact,
Yeah.
the would-be franchisers are very fortunate now because there are so many people that could really help, so many groups, organizations that could really
Yeah.
help.
Can you give us one very specific example? Yung paano kayo nangapa, you know, what just to illustrate.
During that time, when you charge fees, it's you could just pick up an amount and that's it. But there is a proper way of doing that. It has to be calculated well, estimated well, basing on your bottom line and everything. All I'm saying is that all the would-be franchises are very fortunate now to have PFA and the others around here.
Would you have done anything differently when you look back on all your experiences, Joe?
You know what helped a lot? Is when I took up my master's degree in entrepreneurship. I didn't know anything about business when we started Potato Corner, you know. We were just making sure we had a profit at the end of the day, and strategic planning was really part of the game. But after taking up the master's degree, things changed. You know, there was a lot of focus. You know, when I graduated or when I was taking the course, a lot of things became clearer about where to take the company, where to take the brand. And I think my advice is really to study and keep on studying and learning about everything, because it's a never-ending way to grow a business.
Hanggang ngayon, nag-aaral ka pa.
Oh, hanggang ngayon talaga. Kasi, you know, now there's master's degree in everything, in almost everything, in entrepreneurship, in branding. So the bar of putting up a business and running a business keeps on getting higher. And if you don't keep on studying, you get left behind, and other brands will really take over.
Robert, Maxis is in the US, and you're going to be opening hopefully very soon in Australia, no? Can you tell us what the experience was, and then go into, you know, answer the question about when is the right time to go overseas?
Well, what happened was we went to the U.S. first because of there was, I don't know, maybe the challenge of bringing the Maxis brand as a company-owned store without franchising yet. The objective was, you know, typically there's a lot of Filipinos there. Why don't you put up a Max there? And that seems to be the driver for all companies here, but it may not be the right way of doing it. But at that time, we just decided to put up our own company-owned store. But eventually, when we did go into franchising, it was because the brand was there. People were looking for it. The systems were already in place because we've been franchising in the Philippines for quite some time. So it helped us to expand abroad. And the U.S. being meaning they speak English and there's a lot of Filipinos, was at that time we thought the better approach on how to go international. But if it were to ask me today, there are other approaches to go international, and maybe just sticking to Asia alone might be cheaper for you to go international than to go to a bold country like the U.S., where franchising is highly regulated. So, you know, but then again, we looked at going also to Australia, and again, the driving force was the demand for Max. Filipino community, OFWs around that will help us promote our brand or our restaurant that will bring it to the mainstream. So we're using the Filipino market really as our gateway to enter the mainstream market.
Well, tell us the story about how you got into Australia, because there are lessons to be learned there. No?
Well, it actually started here last year in our expo. There was one of the visitors to the expo who was from Australia, who was married to a Filipina and came to our booth every day trying to convince us that we're going to Australia. And we said, we're not ready yet, we're not ready yet, we're not ready yet. But at that time, we were actually in the process of registering our name, and which took a while, longer than expected. But
Yeah,
their
because... Sige, kwento mo para they have
Well,
an
for the-
example.
Well, the name Max's being as generic as it is in Australia, there was a restaurant called Max's Hamburger and Restaurant, MAX Hamburger and Restaurant. So when we registered our name Max's Restaurant, it was immediately opposed. And obviously, once it was opposed, then we couldn't pursue it, and we had to get a lawyer to defend us or to argue that Max's Hamburger and Restaurant is different from Max's Restaurant. At the end of the day, and a year and a half, and $30,000 in lawyers' fees, and all of that, we finally got our registration, which we only got actually maybe a month ago. So we were already talking to people on franchising, and we didn't even have our name registered yet. But we were determined to get it registered by hook or by crook.
Okay, so the key here is register.
Sorry?
Register, di ba?
Yes. The word is registered, and if you wanted to go international, as Chris from the CIMNIC who came here to do a talk on it, and as everyone would say, the first thing you got to do is register your name. It's the most inexpensive way. It's not very expensive, and even though it's just a dream to go international, you need to protect your name, so you need to register. So we're registered now in China, Australia, Philippines, US, Canada. We're currently registering in Europe and United Kingdom, but again, it's a process that takes little time. So our Max Hamburger and Restaurant that challenged us in Australia happens to have a Max's Hamburger and Restaurant in Switzerland. So he's challenging us there again. So again, I have to fork out $50,000 in fees. But we actually compromised. So it's a joint. They call it like a you can own or you can use the name together with certain restrictions. So he says, Max's Restaurant, you can sell hamburgers. I said, that's fine. I go, you Max's Hamburger, you cannot sell chicken. He said, that's fine.
You don't have hamburgers, but you have
Chicken burger. But
that's different.
I'm willing to let go of the chicken burger. It's cheaper than to challenge this group from Australia and New Zealand, Switzerland, sorry.
Okay. And how will you know when you're ready to go international?
Well, one thing also was, I think our organization or the stores in the Philippines was reaching a point wherein we can only grow so much. So we felt going international was another way of expanding. But more so, we felt the brand was strong enough. And the people behind it, not only me, but the professionals that are working for Max's, are capable of bringing the brand.
Yeah. But you had to tweak things a little bit, right? Because here in the Philippines, it's Max's, the house that fried chicken built. But abroad, in the US and soon in Australia, it's not that way, no?
Well, we changed. We started off with the house that fried chicken built. But then we eventually said, what's that to a mainstream common person who doesn't know Max? He goes, what does the house that fried chicken built mean? Your house was built by chickens? So, they had no clue what it meant. So we actually had to change it recently, and it's now Max's Restaurant, cuisine from the Philippines. So there we're promoting what we are, which is Filipino food. And using the word cuisine was maybe just to show them that we are a sit-down, casual dining restaurant.
Leveling up. Level up.
Level up.
Nag-level
Let's
up
not
ka
take
na.
it away from Greenwich here now. But yes, something like that.
Okay, for Mr. Magsaysay, Potato Corner, you also went to the US. But then, syempre, people say, French fries? How are you going to sell French fries to the Americans?
Yeah, in fact, before we opened, I asked a marketing guy in the U.S., what do you think about Potato Corner opening in the U.S.? Then the reply to me was, Joe, I don't think it'll work because it's like selling ice to Eskimos. But I think, and we did it anyway, and we're going mainstream. And then we're not going to the Filipino market in the US, but we're going mainstream. And I think that's the correct formula because nothing is more American than French fries. And our entry internationally was not intentional. It was a dream, but because our partners in Indonesia, Malaysia, and the US were once in the Philippines and tried our product, and they wanted to bring it to where they were. For example, in the US, I got an email in 2008. The email goes, "Dear Mr. Magsaysay, I finally found you. I've been trying to look for you because when I was a student in the international school in the 90s, I was a fan of potato corn and I used to be in Glorieta every other day. Now that my dad is not anymore assigned in the Israeli embassy in the Philippines and we're back here in California, I can't forget potato corner and I'm 28 years old now and I want to put up potato corner here." And that's how it started. Sammy Lim would know that song.
Would you like to sing part of it?
I don't know how to sing.
I
Sorry,
don't know
can
to
you come
sing.
here?
Okay. So, so it's flavored French fries. Yun ang pangalan, di ba? Yes. Why did you use potato corner? Why the need to change the name?
Well, I don't know. You know, we're four partners. And when I got in the group, I was the last guy in the group who came in, and the name was already there.
Okay.
So I think, well, one of my partners who put up the name, I think, made several studies and presented it to a focus group made of kindergarten children. And I think it was the name that the children chose.
Okay. So you're in the U.S. and you will be where else?
We have 15 outlets in Indonesia. We're opening in Malaysia soon. 1 outlet in the U.S., but 4 under construction now.
Malaysia. Why Malaysia?
Because there was a demand. Because
Somebody emailed you also and said they
somebody,
grew up.
yeah, exactly. Somebody went here, tried our product, went back to Malaysia, and started asking for it.
Okay. And then, IS student also, ganon.
No, this one
Hindi
was just a
naman.
tourist. Yeah.
Okay. But you, Potato Corner is the first, tama ba? The first Filipino food cart concept to open in the U.S.
I hope so. But in the U.S., it's really not a cart business. It's more of a combination of kiosks, sit down, and inline store.
Okay. Very specifically, how can a food cart or kiosk business get into the U.S.?
I think for us, no, in our entry in the U.S., I think you have to have local partners. And since we're going mainstream, it's important that your local partners are mainstream partners too. And like, for example, us, our office is in Beverly Hills. So we now have children's parties all around Beverly Hills. Everybody's booking us in Beverly Hills for children's parties. And we even charge $1,200 per party. And we're getting them.
Oh, okay. So you have celebrity.
Exactly.
Like who?
Yeah, during our opening, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise was there.
No, really.
Yeah. I'll tell you all of them later.
No. They want to hear. You want to hear, right?
No, we're just lucky that our partners are also connected to the celebrities. And in fact, it's garnered a lot of attention that even the owner of LA Lakers wants to invest in Potato Corner.
Who is
now.
this again? Sorry? Who?
The owner of LA Lakers.
Okay. All right. For Estilo Salon, Mr. Moreno, franchising made it easier to expand. Are you going to try and go overseas too, or what?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course. It's one of our dreams also to go offshore, no, especially in the United States. And I'm sure Robert and Joe would be so willing to help us, no, to go about that. Yes, we have a lot of inquiries for the United States, no, but we feel it's not time yet, no. It's very important to know whether it is the right time for you to expand. The system should be really in place, just like what Robert said a while ago. Yes, we have registered our name in the United States also. You really have to make sure that you're ready, because you have your moral obligation with your franchisee. So it's
When
very
you say,
critical.
when you say you have to know the right time, ano yung mga ingredients na you specifically are waiting for
Well, number one would be it's so difficult to bring in stylists to the United States because the stylists